FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Oh, sorry. Pontus, you want to start again?
Okay, sure.
No? Is it okay? Can we continue? Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi. Welcome to Physics 141st meeting. Today is the 1st of October, and we have all here, the Physics team, and returning speakers, as well as brothers and sisters, friends of FESIG. It's so wonderful to have all of you back here with us once a month. On the first Wednesday of the month, we have our meeting regularly for the last 9 years now. So you know, the first Wednesday of the month, just a couple of days before the first Wednesday of the month, go to FESIG's website, click on it, and you'll be able to see the announcements of the speakers, and all the details from the speakers will be there. And if you scroll down the website, you'll be able to see the link, invitation to attend meeting, as well as the newsletters that is reporting the last meeting's recordings. So it's all there for you, okay? And it's all done from our hearts to yours, so we all could learn together and progress. Right, so I would like to start right away with my PowerPoint presentation so you can see what is in store for you today. I'm going to share screen right now, so bear with me. There we go. Our agenda for the day. Welcome to FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group. As it's a standalone video, it's always with the introduction of everything that we have here for you. My name is Crystal Go, and we have Dr. Fres Fresel, who's assisting me with the chairing, and Pontus, Efsger, Henrik, Jerry. I don't know if Matthew's here, but the regulars are here. We have Tricia, we have Mattis, we have, I think Mona is coming in as well. So if you go to our website, you see our mission and our vision and what we stand for, and the platform we have built for you to come in and hop in together to learn from the world's most brilliant minds, most creative scientists, and spiritualists alike. Right, so to contact me, you can write to crystal@truevisionofpeace.com. Our website is truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG, FESIG.html. Subscribe to all our channels. BitChute seems to have shut down the UK, and they have the most controversial videos that we had recorded. Unfortunately, that's what the establishment do to us truthers. But we still have our YouTube. Odyssey is just mirroring YouTube, and Facebook, Telegram. Join our Facebook and our Telegram channel to see the announcements if you can't get to our website fast enough. Thank you so much for your... Oh, sorry, I forgot to show the agenda. Okay, so actually, today's meeting, we have David Sereda, the one and only David Sereda, who's specializing in quite a variety of specialities here. He's the president of Lightstream Technologies, inventor of Harmonic Technologies, researcher. He returns to speak at FESIG about 3I Atlas. Well, he was here speaking at our 78th meeting, if I'm not mistaken, in I think 2020. That's right, yeah. So today, he will map out and demonstrate the auspicious Yom Kippur October the 1st alignment of the 3I Atlas, Mars, Mercury, sorry, not KI, 3I Atlas and the Sun. No, sorry, KI, correct. KI Atlas and the Sun. And his talk title is 3I Atlas a random event of a comet or harmonic? David will present astonishing evidence, the Oumuamua 21, Borisov, and 3i Atlas are all harmonic and sent by intelligent design, which affirms the religious dates of most of the world's top religions. So today is October the 1st. It's a very auspicious day, folks. October the 1st to 2nd, it will be a perfect alignment with Mars and the inner solar system. We are supposed to have the second speaker coming back, Patrick Riley, to speak on to continue his part 2 when he was speaking of his free energy devices that he invented, and also his electromagnetic and anti-gravitic inventions. Also, he wanted to touch on the crypto platform where philanthropic funding is safer and won't get blocked through the blockchain facilitation of decentralization, where there's transparencies as well as how to open source and be beneficial for humanity, his technologies. So folks, tune on to this because he will come back to speak, I don't know. And he told me last minute, about 1.5 hours before the meeting starts, that he can't make it, something came up. So I quickly pulled in David Griffin, our UK ufologist, our UK exopolitics chief, to do a trailer to promote his talk in the very near future soon. Okay, so that will be good. He is filling in the slot. So if you're wondering when is the next meeting, please pen down in your diary. Our 142nd meeting will be on the 5th of November. Okay, that way you won't miss us. As I said, the first Wednesday of the month, and you will see few days before that, you'll see who's going to speak, and then we are going to have a wonderful time together learning on this platform where science meets spirits. So without much ado, I have to quickly go into introduction of our first speaker for today's meeting, our 141st FESIG meeting. We'll welcome back David Sereda. David Sereda is the president of Lightstream Technologies, inventor of harmonic technologies for meditation enhancement, EMF clearing, out-of-body enhancement, astral projection, telepathy, and more. David has studied meditation, yoga, vegetarian diet, world religions, ancient history, physics, maths, astronomy, alternative zero-point technologies, energies for over 40 years. He took physics in school to the college level and continued his studies ever since. In school, he presented his physics teacher a time dilation theory, which his teacher admitted was way beyond anything he had seen since Einstein. Wow, you're brilliant, David. In 1990, David began working with MIT physicist Dr. Bogdan Maklich, and team up with him to promote and fund Maglich's non-radioactive fusion power technology. David studied fusion power for over 10 years. Then Maglich appointed David as director of the Los Angeles-based Tesla Foundation, under which David became a Tesla technology expert and spoke in the United States Congress with Maglich and company on fusion power. Next, Maglich appointed David as the president of High Energy Micro Devices, a new company, U.S. defense contractor using novel technology to detect buried landmines and to find hidden explosives and other contraband. David did all of the U.S. military communications about the technology contracts and accounts, including U.S. Customs and Coast Guards. Well, in the year 2006, David developed a technology not unlike a small nuclear fusion chamber to fuse frequency programs in the crystals. And he found that these frequencies could be stored in a crystal lattice if the secret to opening the lattice and closing it could be found. He found it worked, and the thousands of people who wore the pendants that he created, treated with the ethnology, could feel the vibrations and confirmed this on human energy field aura chemical testing. You can go to David's website, okay, davidsereda.co. Is that correct, David? You said I
Yeah, .co, yeah.
10, yeah, .co, okay, .co, yeah, so I'm sorry, folks. I will correct it in the website as soon as this meeting finish, and you can go into his website, look at all his products, contact him, and have a conversation with him, because everything's there. His email address is davidsereda@hotmail.com, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, folks, without much ado, I'm passing the microphone over to our first speaker of the 141st FESIG meeting. Over to you, David. Thank you for coming back.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Thank you, Crystal. And thank you everyone, for being here. Wow, there's so much to present on Three Eye Atlas. I'll just start with where I began with Three Eye Atlas, because when Oumuamua was coming, into the solar system, I noticed it right away that its behavior and its sudden accelerations, that this was an intelligent and driven piece of technology. And Avi Loeb later, published his findings, which are identical to mine. It's not very difficult. It's not like you have to be a genius to figure this stuff out. You just have to be watching, right? But I'm going to show you. Oh, I got to be able to share, Crystal. Send request to share. Yeah. But when I began, what I did is I mapped the perihelion of all three of our interstellar visitors. So all our other comets that have traveled between the orbits of Jupiter and the different belts, the asteroid belt and the Oort cloud, are not extraterrestrial visitors. So our three extraterrestrial visitors were actually 21 Oumuamua, 21 Borisov, and now Three Eye Atlas. So what I did, and this is the beginning of seeing just the edge of the intelligence, is when you map in time, which is all written right here, the closest to the sun perihelion date for Oumuamua, to 21 Borisov, to Three Eye Atlas. And when I mapped all three of them, they're 1 to the golden ratio squared in time. And I want to emphasize time because it's all ultimately, when you really get really deep into this stuff, it's about time and time dilation. And time dilation is really the ratio of positions in our solar system and in our galaxy in time. And then you'll start to get to the edge of understanding what time dilation is. And ultimately, what I found in my galaxy clock vortex mathematical model is time is not a measurement of time, it's actually a force. And it's golden ratio proportional fractal time. So when I saw all three of these, and this is the math right here, they're 1 to the golden ratio squared in time. So that got me really interested. I tried to get Avi Loeb to see this, but he doesn't look at stuff outside of his circle. And this should have ended the debate right away, that we're dealing with something that is designed and has been harmonic since the arrival of Oumuamua. But then I decided to map them, all three of them, in their closest positions to Earth. And Three Eye Atlas will do that twice, whereas the other two, Oumuamua, and in fact, I can send a copy of this page to anybody who's interested. You just have to write me, so you can go through this really slowly. But the positions to Earth were also 1 to the golden ratio squared. Now, where it gets really interesting is right here. And this has to do with the axial, right here, the axial rotation of 3I Atlas on its axis. This was in a paper, which is, you can click on this hyperlink here, and Avi will publish this, that the axial rotation period was 16.16 hours plus or minus. You're never going to see 100% in physics if you do a lot of math like I do. So he has plus or minus 0.01 hours. So I actually calculated it at 16.16 hours, which I could, if you convert 16.16 hours to minutes, you get 969 minutes, 0.6. 16.15 hours times 60 is 969 minutes exactly. That's the age of the biblical prophet Methuselah. That really interested me right there. And because we're dealing with a proportionality of the golden ratio, I knew what to do with this number because I already recognized this number in my previous work and my model of the hyperdimensional solar system. So if you take the age of Methuselah's father, Enoch, at 365 years and his son Methuselah, they're 1 to the golden ratio squared in age. Isn't that interesting? You know, in my world, whether religious or archaeoastronomical, all data is data. I mean, if I presented this to serious astronomers, they're going to laugh and say, oh, this is ridiculous. Well, no, it's not ridiculous because in the ancient world and the use of temples in archaeoastronomy to measure the rotational periods of stars is how we develop the most accurate calendar in the solar system, which was, for example, the ancient Egyptians would mark the arrival of the star Sirius on the eastern horizon paired with the sun, known as Sirius heliacal rising. And then in 365.25, the decimal keeps going, 256 days per year, the star would do the same thing the next year and the next year and the next year. In fact, you can do that to any star you want. The lunar calendar is far less accurate, and I'll go into that a little later, but you're going to see, again, I can send a copy of this math to everybody, but when I'm going to go to my Medium page here because I have these in a presentation form that's really easy to see. But before I do that, actually, I should show you today. Let's just go right to today because a lot's already happened today. Today, Yom Kippur, which is the Jewish Day of Atonement, marked by Moses getting his second set of the tablets of the law when his God had appeared on Mount Sinai. Very important because we're just gonna hypothetically say that all really happened. Because why is it today, you can see this, 3I Atlas has entered its closest position to Mars starting today for the next 3 to 4 days. And today's Yom Kippur. And in the sky live, I can see that it aligns to Mars, Mercury, and K1 Atlas, another alleged comet, and the sun in this perfect alignment. And at the same time, near Earth object NEO 2025 FA22 actually joined the lunar orbit of Earth. It's about approximately twice the distance of Earth to the moon, so it's actually very close to us. And this actually made headlines. NEO FA22, NEO FA 2025 FA22 has been paired with us since September the 11th. September the 11th is when Comet F2 Swan mysteriously just shows up. Nobody saw it coming, which is really improbable, which is really a problem for astronomers not to see a whole comet coming. And suddenly it shows up on September 11th and NEO pairs with Earth, NEO, which is now paired with Earth today. So this is today's date. So we have this alignment and it's Yom Kippur. And I would say all the emphasis in this alignment is Mars. Now, first I'm going to show you why, before my discovery of 3I Atlas in its timing of crossing all the orbits of the planets in the solar system, starting with Neptune coming in, will mark a major religious date. And then when it comes to the point where it's at today, Yom Kippur begins tonight and it goes into the second, we have a perfect harmony with which I just demonstrated. And the question is, why is that? It's not saying we know the answer, but when you start to see these religious dates all stacking up perfectly, you have to start asking the question, what is the probability of this? So let me show you on a real tracker, before I go to my presentation here, what happens and why Loeb actually stated from all the data he's gotten that from the beginning that 3I Atlas is an interstellar visitor and it's intelligent and it's likely to drop off smaller sub UFO type craft as it rendezvous with the planet. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm using the sky live right here. Getting really bright sun here in my face. I have to kind of go like this to see my screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Let me come to, see, I have a clock down at the bottom here, so I have the date. I can go back in time, and there's a lot of visitors. For some reason, they took away my near-Earth object FA22. See, so I can spin this around in 3 dimensions, and I can see with today's date, you see that? K1 Atlas it's like a little eye. There you go. K1 Atlas, the sun, and then 3I Atlas in this alignment, but it just looks so perfectly aligned in all the 3 axes, X, Y, and Z. So perfect. Now, I'm going to show you why Loeb before my mathematics, which is my math is very simple. If you go back, let's go back. And I'm going to start with just the inner solar system. Mars has an orbit of 687 days, just a shaving under 670 days. So the likelihood of 3I Atlas timing itself to pair this close on the 1st of October, 2nd, and 3rd, when Loeb got the cooperation of NASA to use the Mars high-rise cameras, which are probably the best cameras in the solar system for stuff like this. There's no way, when you understand cameras and optics and the amount of megapixels and the size of the sensor on the high-rise camera, we should be getting the most phenomenal pictures of this right now. And guess what? There's a huge interruption that just occurred, and I think everybody knows what it is. The government just got shut down. And before I'm going to take a little break from this and show, I love this quote from the press today that I found. I'm going to just pull it up in the U.S. Herald. This is really important. Because why did Trump call in a huge military meeting yesterday, which has a public face to that meeting? And right here, this is in Al Jazeera News. And Al Jazeera says that Trump Pentagon demands media agree not to reveal unauthorized material. He signed this new document so that people think, well, the meeting he just presented and called in all his generals one day before Yom Kippur in this alignment of 3I Atlas to say that on the 22nd of September, the media is no longer allowed to publish unauthorized material, or they can face serious consequences if they do. So even if the media knew the truth, they can't publish what the military meeting he just had is about. And then if you go to this quote in right here, there it is. And this quote, and then we're going to come back to the model, is trying to find it here. I can click this one away and get it out of the way so I can find the one I'm looking for. Failing to fund NASA at this precise moment would mean turning away from the most significant interstellar opportunities of our time, Avi Loeb argued in a recent public commentary. This is the USA Herald, which means because of the defunding of the government, the photographs that are supposed to begin today on Yom Kippur, previously they were going to start photographing it from Mars on the high rise on the 3rd of October, which is the exact closest approximation to Mars with 3i Atlas. But then he backed it up to the 1st. And that's because I've been writing Loeb, even though he doesn't answer his emails to me because he can't. I noted that it's Yom Kippur. And he should note that. So now he's backed it up to the 1st. So, but now we have a warning that we may never see these images that they're taking right now, because what Trump just authorized the Pentagon to do, the Department of War, is the military and NASA can't share with the press unless they have explicit permission. Okay, so now let's go back, and you're going to really see this is going to get mind-bending how profound the behavior of 3i Atlas really is. Okay, so I just got to make sure I got to find where my screen just went. Okay, so let's go to, I'll just open a new window because I lost that. Go back to my 3D solar system. So we have a lot of comments, a lot of visitors upon us right now, but I'm going to go back in time. First, I'm going to show you Loeb's hypothesis, and which is really good as to why he thinks this is intelligent from the beginning. So I'm going to show you what happens. They go to the Sky Live, and again, let me just turn this to our view. This is today's date. So we know the odds in this the 686.9 days that it takes Mars in Earth time to go around the sun. The odds of these two being paired in this long orbit are very small. But watch, it's going to do it again. Let's just keep going. Just keep going. So now here is what you would call the bullseye of 3i Atlas. If it knows what it's doing, this is the bullseye. But according to us, there's nothing there. I'm going to demonstrate there is something there hyperdimensionally, because what's here is the most incredible thing. Because when my wife died August 9th, 2021, 591 days after she dies, she calls up my name audibly. I was in a hotel with our daughters in Banff, Alberta at the time, and she calls up my name and she says, count the number of days it's been since she died, which is 591 days. And actually, before I show you this graphic, let me just see. Here, let me just show you the graphic. There you go. So if we were going to show the actual bullseye of 3i Atlas, this is what it would look like. This turquoise orbit would have an orbit of 591 days. And I did this using ratio math of 591 to 686.98 in the radius between the sun, Mars, and where this hypothetical orbit would be. So why is this number so incredibly important, an orbit of 591 days? Because you're going to see this. Let me get my calculator up. This is really easy. This is not hard math. This is just simple algorithm mathematics. Any of you can do this. Okay, so you should be able to see my calculator, right? So if I take 591, now remember, 3i Atlas sent us in the ratio of Oumuamua, 21 Borisov, and 3 Atlas are 3 extraterrestrial visitors that are not from the Oort Cloud. They're not comets that we know of. And I divided by the golden ratio 1.618. I'm going to do this repeating 0339887 once is the exact sidereal time of Earth. The exact sidereal time of Earth is 365.256, but it changes very slightly every year. I mean, when you keep precise time, you'll see that our Earth does not, there's a tiny bit of wobbling there. So I'm at this number, I'm 99.999% accurate to the sidereal period of Earth. Now, how the heck did that happen? Because that's the bullseye of 3I Atlas. I'm going to divide it again by the golden ratio. This is Venus. Venus has an orbit of 225 days. I'm going to do it again. Now, this number here will show a hypothetical orbit of a planet that resolves the miracle of the sun at Fatima perfectly. And that's a story in itself. I have all of these in articles with illustrations on my Medium blog. This is like almost 98% of the orbit of Mercury. All I'm doing is repeating the function on my calculator. I do it again, and this is a hypothetical orbit between Mercury and the Sun. This is a hypothetical orbit between the Mercury of the Sun, which aligns to the exact number of years that Jesus lived and Alexander the Great, divided by the golden ratio. Again, this is the orbit of a planet called Vulcan that was discovered in the Paris Observatory in the 19th century by a mathematician named Leverrier, who was doing work for the Paris Observatory, observing sunspots and the transits of Mercury. And he found something beyond a sunspot, an actual planet that eluded astronomers because he was able to observe this planet, confirmed it in Colorado, and it disappeared. And because Vulcan disappeared, to this day, it's called a hypothetical planet. Hypothetical planet. How can planets appear and disappear unless they're really there or are they not there? How can UFOs appear and then disappear, do the same thing? Now, if I keep going with this number a couple more times, this is the height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt right here by a factor of 100. So times 100, 480.519 feet is 99.999% accurate to the finished height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Okay, so let's just leave that at that and say, why is the bullseye of 3I Atlas this number that's 1 to the golden ratio to Earth? I can see it now perfectly clear that we live in a hyperdimensional solar system because the poet Dante, who wrote the Paradiso, my copy's all scratched up here, he actually describes this. Just got to go to the page. And of course, Dante is kind of like he's not imagining things. He's fasting and meditating and praying, and he's recording his spiritual visions of what he actually sees. And Dante, by the time he goes to the 9 levels of the Inferno, which is hell, the 9 levels of Purgatorio, he finally comes upon the beginning of his journey through the 9 levels of paradise, which equate to a systematic order in the solar system of the spiritual dimensions of Mercury, the Sun, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And at the time of Dante, Uranus and Neptune were not yet discovered. They weren't discovered yet. 14th century Dante. They weren't discovered yet. But when Uranus and Neptune get discovered in the 19th and I think 20th century, I mean, I have the exact dates, Dante had described these 2 extra spheres beyond his vision of Saturn in the same coloring and tonal hues as Uranus and Neptune, which is, blue greenish to sapphire. And then he's sitting at this point. I mean, the whole vision of Dante's Paradiso is one of the most incredible pieces of literature ever written. I mean, what it actually feels like spiritually to go through these heavens And he's sitting there, and I'll read this. Dante turns from Beatrice, which is his beloved tour guide, who takes him through all the 9 levels, and beholds a vision of God as a non-dimensional point of light, ringed by 9 extra glowing spheres representing the angelic hierarchy. Dante is puzzled because the vision seems to reverse the order of the universe. The highest ranking angels being at the center, meaning closest to the sun, which means he's going back. And the lowest being out where he is at Neptune. So let me show you the model that I built. And then I'm going to take you on a tour of 3i Atlas as it's coming in and going back out of the solar system when it crosses the known planets and my hypothetical unknown planets. So this is the model I built, which I started building 591 days after my wife died, right away, because I started to see what even Bode's law could not solve, is that if you built your solar system using the golden ratio and you included these extra numbers, you would see the orbits of all the known planets to a degree of accuracy better than 95% on average for all of them. So here's my 591 number. And Dante's way out here by Neptune, and he's looking back, and these are the known names of the 9 levels of the angels, except according to him, in this spiritual dimension, there's 9 more planets heading back towards the sun. And it just so happens, in this algorithm, I arrived at the calculated orbit of planet Vulcan, which eluded astronomers and still has, because nobody's ever seen if Vulcan periodically appears and then disappears. Nobody's ever done this. And yet it fits perfectly in my algorithm. And I actually got in a conversation with ChatGPT about this, and it said that I was right. It fits. So 591 divided by the golden ratio is Earth, divided by the golden ratio is Venus, divided by the golden ratio is this mysterious number here. And this mysterious number lines up with the Ascension Day of Christ, 39 to 40 days after Easter on the lunar calendar, the miracle of the sun at Fatima, St. Francis's Ascension Day, and the Buddha's birthday, actually, which are on lunar calendars. And then again, when I take 591 times the golden ratio, the only planet that it doesn't fit is Mars, which is a whole mystery in itself. Mars, in fact, when mathematicians were trying to use Bode's law to find the harmony of the order, Mars eluded them all. It's basically knocked out of the harmony. It should be at 591, but it's actually at 686.98. Now this number here, look at this number here, 956. That is so close to the number in minutes that 3i Atlas sent in its rotational axis period in minutes, because its rotational axis period in minutes was 969. Right? So just hold that thought there, because I built this same model with 3i axis is one number using the golden ratio. So I have to go to a different folder to find this model. And what I should probably do is just go to my, Medium article to get to this part. And my Medium article really just has all of it. And you'll be able to go, you just go to medium.com / at, the at symbol like in your internet, David Sereda. And you'll see all my articles here. And you can go through them slowly and check the math, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's my newest article is Fatima, the miracle of the sun eclipsed by an unknown solar system body. The Red Square UFO event, which was the first topic of discussion in the September 9th UAP UFO hearing in the United States Congress, was October 14th. The miracle of the sun at Fatima happened on the 13th of October. Of course, now 3i Atlas is in the October window, and I'm going to show you what it does on this date this year. You're going to see what it does. It's amazing. It's amazing. It knows exactly what it's doing. So in this model here, this article, I built the same model, except I used 969.6, the axial rotational number for 3i Atlas. I divided by the golden ratio one time, and I got 599.24 instead of 591. I'm really close. I'm really close. Divided by the golden ratio, I got 370.35 for Earth, which is 98.62% of Earth's orbit within it. Divided by the golden ratio, I got 228.89, which is 98.16% within Venus. Divided by the golden ratio, I got 141. You know what's funny? This is the 141st meeting for FESIG today.
Yes.
Isn't that a coincidence? Because this is my master planet here. Divided by the golden ratio again, I got 99.38% of the orbit of Mercury. In fact, so Methuselah's number by 3i Atlas to the harmony of the order is highly in tune with Mercury, 99.38%. And then, of course, I get my cherubim, seraphim, and Vulcan again. When I take 969.6 times the golden ratio repeating, my Jupiter number is 94.8%. Saturn's at 99.94%. This is a simple algorithm. Uranus is at 91%, and Neptune goes out. Okay, so this is pretty good. This is way better than Bode's law at trying to resolve the harmony of the order. And 3i Atlas sent us this. Okay, so
Amazing.
then what I do, and you have to go through my whole article here, I compare the numbers in the 591 model to the numbers in the model percentage-wise of the 3i Atlas 969 solar system model to the golden ratio. Remember, all three are 1 to the golden ratio squared, so it's already telling us it's using the golden ratio. Now, when I subtract, I take away all my decimals, and I only used whole numbers, and I just subtract from the crystal Sereda Menchaca model the number from the Methuselah model sent by 3i Atlas. And when I subtract, look at these numbers: 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. Those are my leftover numbers between the two models. Those are Fibonacci's numbers. Those are Fibonacci numbers. What are they doing there? Oh my God. It's like this. Look, if you look at my fingers, it's like this is this crystal Menchaca Sereda 591 model, the bullseye of 3i Atlas, and this is the Methuselah model, and I put them together, and then I separate out the differences, and I'm seeing Fibonacci's numbers. So I decided to continue this all the way out to Jupiter, and I end up assigning, actually, before I go to there, think about this. Think about the golden ratio and my upper 9 planets and my 9 lower planets. And I put that in a Fibonacci graph of numbers as boxes. If I remove the top numbers for the invisible solar system that Dante saw, my Fibonacci spiral is going to fall to pieces. It's not going to hold together. So this is to say that those upper 9 numbers that we can't see, but they do interact with us during the miracle of the sun at Fatima and planet Vulcan periodically, they seem to rely on each other mathematically to exist, because if I take away all my upper numbers, I'm not going to have a Fibonacci spiral. I'm going to have a mushy line connecting the two dimensions of the universe together. So in the end, I end up assigning every one of Fibonacci's numbers to a planet in the solar system. It's incredible. I can do this all the way out to Neptune. I can do the whole thing. My percentage starts to fall apart a little bit, just a tiny bit, past 34. Okay, so every one of these, what this tells me is every one of our planets is assigned. And
I
again,
don't need to interrupt, but I just
yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I
interrupt. Go
just
ahead.
need you to zoom into the figures and all that, because we can't see. It's too small. right? It's so exciting. You're going into the Fibonacci numbers and all that. But we need to see it clearly. If you could zoom in so we can see.
Well, if you want to see which planet they assign to, I have a different paper. So let me do this. Let me pull up so you can really see the numbers.
Yes, please.
Let's see, where do I have that? There we go. I'm going to take you to, oh, that's not the right document. Where's that one? And then I'm going to go out into space and take you on a journey of 3i Atlas through the solar system. And that's where we'll finish. Let's see. Here it is. So these are the numbers here. Mathematically, that will be assigned to each planet. And the numbers, the Fibonacci numbers, let's go here. My God, these are including octaves, so that's not going to work. That's not going to work because I've actually turned it into an entire musical based system, because once you see that Fibonacci's numbers match the numbers of the two layers of the hyperdimensional universe. Remember, UFOs come from a hyperdimensional space. Not all of them do. And we know this because, in fact, the UFO I saw in Berkeley, California in 1968 when I was 7 years old, it just popped into our dimension. Everyone was looking at it, total pandemonium for about 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't travel through space, it jumps out of space. So that's what I mean by hyperdimensional. So let me go back to my Medium article so I can show you this. And again, people can go to my Medium page and you can go through this really slowly, because what it's saying is Fibonacci's numbers are the leftover, the differential, and I have to stress differential, between the two universes, right? If any of you have watched the TV show Fringe, which is one of my favorite shows, it's all about the two universes, which periodically, using technology, can interface with each other, right? Can you see my screen now with my...
Yeah, could you zoom in a bit so you
Oh
can
yeah, I could zoom in, yeah, like this.
bigger for us to read? Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Right. So what happens in this, remember, I've compared the two models, and my leftover numbers will be assigned to an actual planet. And I've done this assignment. I don't know. I'm trying to see if, yeah, here you go. You see, Venus is Methuselah. In Methuselah's model is a Fibonacci 3, right? Thrones is a Fibonacci 2. And that would make Mercury would be a 1, a Fibonacci 1, right? Remember, there's two ones in Fibonacci sequence. So Mercury's a 1, Thrones is a 2, Venus is a 3, Earth is a 5, Fibonacci 5. Methuselah's 591 planet, actually, my 591 planet is not Methuselah. That is called Dominions in the Angelic, is an 8. And Methuselah is actually a 13, 358, 13. And the dwarf planet Ceres is 21. Remember, Mars doesn't fit. It's kind of like Star Wars, when Princess Leia's home planet is blown up by the Death Star and you have the asteroid belt. There was a war, a real war, which is what I think Lucas was really pointing at in the series. So angelic powers is 34, and Jupiter is 55, and that's as far as I got in the article, but I actually have Uranus and Neptune as well, and their numbers are assigned. But in the article, I don't go that far. So that's like your two universes. I mean, why does the math work is a really good question to ask. I mean, theoretically, math is the language of the universe. And if an extraterrestrial civilization was going to send us a message, they would send us a message
In
of
mathematical codes, yeah.
math in the form of mathematics, right? So when we look at, okay, so I'm just looking for the right article now to show what 3i Atlas does. I have to go on my page and then I'll highlight it. Here it is. 3i Atlas, the proof of intelligence. This is it. This is on my page. This is the name of the article. So when we go to look at what 3i Atlas does, we're going to start when it's coming in. So all I did is use the SkyLive and I backtrack my dates and I look for not my planet positions, because pairing with a planet is almost impossible. And you're going to see also, because I didn't finish that part of the presentation, it will pair with Venus perfectly, and it will pair with Jupiter on the way out. You're going to see all this in a minute here. So when it came in, which was the 14th of June 2023, so that's a couple years ago, it crosses Neptune's orbit on the 13th of June, which in the Orthodox calendar is the Ascension Day of Jesus, for a particular year, for 2024. So it's 1 year off in the lunar calendar. And the lunar calendar, for a date like an Ascension date or Easter, is only going to be correct a few times in an entire lunar cycle. So if you imagine the original Easter, and 40 days after Easter is actually 39 degrees of transit of the Earth around the sun, which is a whole magic number in itself, you would have had a star in a certain position, or on a calendar, a solar calendar, you would have a date. But on a lunar calendar, on the original Easter, the star position and the lunar phase are going to match up. But the next year they won't, and the next year they won't. The star will be off. And the problem with the lunar calendar is you're following the phase of the moon, not the true orbit of the Earth around the sun. On a lunar calendar, your dates sweep back and forth like a sine wave, across and forward, and eventually will continue to pass the original date. So why, this is the first one. Why do we get Orthodox Ascension on when it's coming in on Neptune's orbit? So now the next date I have is the 6th of May 2024, when it crossed within the orbit of Uranus.
Wait, could you zoom in again a bit?
Okay, I just have to click on it, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What's interesting about May the 6th, 2024 is Jesus' Ascension Day falls on May 6th in 1948 and 2027. Notice 2027, how close that is to 2024. You have to see what a lunar calendar does over 500 years. It's really incredible. It will go way, way away from that. So what 3i Atlas may be saying is these are the correct dates of the real ascension. In harmony, and it gets complicated in time dilation. Now, May the 6th happens to be the Buddha's birthday. Buddha's birthday was May 6th in 2014 and May 1st in 2025. You see this? And this is May 6th, 2024. So only 1 year forward in time, this will be the Buddha's birthday, right? So again, you have to ask yourself, how did 3i Atlas do this? It tells us that these religious dates are coinciding to what you call the harmony of the order, or the harmony of the order of the rotational periods of the spheres, the planets. So now we keep going because we're coming in right now. So then it crosses Jupiter's orbit on June 13th, which is Jesus's Ascension Day in Eastern Orthodox. And Buddha's Day of Enlightenment is June the 13th in 2014. The year is 2025, right? So again, I'm in the window of ascension again on Jupiter. Okay, so keep going. Now we're coming in, we're crossing Saturn's orbit. And this happens to be on Muhammad's night vision, the Mirage, Journey Through the Seven Heavens. Journey Through the Seven Heavens is an incredible thing because it happened to me in 1986, December 22nd and 23rd. I was taken through the seven levels of heaven in the most profound spiritual experience of my life. So I really relate to Muhammad's night vision journey of the Mirage. Now, this is interesting because the Mirage for the seven heaven journey is January 26, 27, 2025. Notice my calendar is January 27th, 2025. So on their calendar, I'm bang on. I'm accurate to the year. And that's because on lunar calendars, you will come to accuracy and then you'll go away from accuracy. You'll come to accuracy and then you'll go away from it. So now I'm to the year. Notice as I'm coming in, I'm getting these more accurate dates. So now when we come to the 14th to the 15th of August, which is Mother Mary's Day of Ascension on a solar calendar, which means the date is fixed every year, I'm crossing the orbit of 16 Psyche, the most valuable asset in the solar system that has countless trillions of dollars worth of gold, titanium and precious metals. I'm right on it. Like, look at all the negative space in between everything, right? The negative space is where my hyperdimensional planet orbits are. And we're going to get into that. So, again, this is a very holy day for Christianity, namely Catholics and Orthodox, the ascension of the Mother Mary. Now, what we just did is we saw Yom Kippur, and notice Yom Kippur is accurate to today's lunar calendar because next year Yom Kippur won't be on this date. So that means we're coinciding really well as we come into the inner solar system. Really, really well. So we went over Yom Kippur, which starts tonight and goes into October 2nd. And the third is the date which Avi Loeb has said is when it's at its exact closest position to Mars. The question is, why Mars on Yom Kippur? That's an enormous one. So here's our alignment. And this was before I added in K1 Atlas, which appears in the same alignment because I hadn't discovered K1 Atlas yet, right? So keep going. This is a side view on Yom Kippur here. And in fact, if you go to the sky, now notice today's date is, the date on this graphic is the 13th of October. The anniversary of Fatima, 3i Atlas will cross the orbit of Mars, not the position of Mars, the orbit of Mars on the anniversary of Fatima. Why does it keep happening? This UFO case at Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is on my blog here as well, was the 14th of October, 2023, or 2003. So again, now we're coming in to the bullseye of 3i Atlas. The bullseye is my hyperdimensional orbit of a hypothetical, I'm going to call it a hypothetical planet because I can't prove there's anything there, but the math tells me that there is. There has to be something there. And why is it headed right for it? It's not going to go anywhere else. It's going to bounce off 591 and keep going, or is something going to happen? I don't know. I don't know why it's heading towards a number that a deceased person, my very own wife, so this is very personal to me, it cost a life to get that number, and it cost the mother of my children to get this number. To the golden ratio was the orbit of Earth. So now let's keep going. This is perihelion, which, according to physics calculation, is its closest position to the sun. Muhammad's birthday is October 29th in 2022 and 2020. Notice our current year is 2025. So when I'm only 3 years off on a lunar calendar. On a lunar calendar, that's very little. Very, very little. So why is perihelion for 3i Atlas within Muhammad's birthday in 2022? I mean, again, how is 3i Atlas doing all of this? And then on Christmas, from December 20th to 25th, is its closest position to Earth. Closest position to Earth. Now I miss Venus. Don't let me forget Venus, because I want you to see what it does on Venus on November the 3rd. And I'm going to fulfill that and Jupiter in a minute. Now, if I keep going, this is from Loeb. It will hold. You see this blue line here? This really steep, long line, and then that's holding very close to Earth for about December 1st-ish to the 25th of December. On Unboxing Day, the next day, it suddenly can no longer maintain its closest position to Earth. I mean, this is perfectly in time for Christmas, is what I'm saying. Again, this can't be happening, right? I mean, how does it do all this? So what I did, I was tipped off by another researcher. He said I needed to look at this. And he was right. He calculated that the angle of 3i Atlas to Earth was 38, 39 degrees up here, which is the Egyptian angle of resurrection in the Great Pyramid, because it's the complementary angle to 90 degrees of the angle of the slope of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, 51.853972 degrees. So on Christmas Day, off the trajectory line of 3i Atlas, 3i Atlas to Earth is Great Pyramid angle. This is incredible. It's incredible. I can't even believe that I can't get Loeb to look at this, because there's no way this thing is just a randomly occurring rock following a trajectory for no apparent coherent reason, meaning random. This is miraculous. This is Christmas Day. So what the heck does the Great Pyramid have to do with this, and which I already know? And so there we go. Now it's going to continue its way back out. And on the way out, on Orthodox Christmas, which is January 7th to the 8th, which is based on the Julian calendar, not Gregorian, it's going to be right within the orbit of 16 Psyche. Remember, on the way in, it crossed 16 Psyche on the Ascension Day of the Mother Mary, which is the 14th, 15th of August, depending on which side of the planet you're on. So, I mean, again, it's not in empty space. It's at 16 Psyche. So this would tell me how incredibly perfect. Now, my odds of all these dates now, of all of them coming together into a coherency, get more and more mathematically impossible. If I only had 2 coincidences, I wouldn't have much of a case. But if you calculate your mathematical odds for every planet crossing, and I've got this right down to 16 Psyche, in a triangulation with Earth on Orthodox Christmas, here's 16 Psyche, 3i Atlas, and Earth on that date is again way beyond chance. And then here we go again. This is the magic moment, because this is when Loeb, now look at how long the orbit of Jupiter is, which is just a shaving under 12 Earth years of time. 4332.58 days of Earth time. This is when Loeb got Congress, through Congressman Paulina Luna, to get the Jupiter spacecraft to turn, which is coming to the end of its mission, to use its cameras to get the best pictures it can of 3i Atlas. Now, considering the length of the orbit of Jupiter's orbit, it's paired. And it does that. It did that with Mars. It does that with Venus, and it does that pretty good with Earth. And it, in percentage-wise, in Jupiter's total orbit, this is why Loeb said originally that this thing can't be a comet because the timing of all of these pairedness to the orbits of the planets, it had to interject itself into the solar system at precisely the right time, precisely the right velocity for, and the direction where it was headed, which is 591, is all not possible if this is just a randomly occurring probe. The night of its closest, not the crossing of the orbit of Jupiter, but its closest position is the 16th of March this next spring, will be the night of power in the year 2026, so it's current, marking the night of power in Islam when the Archangel Gabriel started delivering the first verses of the Quran to the Prophet of Islam. Okay, so I'm not judging religions here. I'm not here to say which, I mean, get into religious wars. I'm just showing the data. You know, whether people believe in a certain religion or not doesn't really matter because it's doing this. It then will cross the orbit of Jupiter, the 26th of March, which are Easter dates 1894, 1951, and 2046 and 2076. Right. So again, I'm not accurate to the year on the lunar calendar, and I've already explained why that is and why this happens. And then it will cross the orbit of Saturn.
Hang on, can you backtrack a little bit, David, please, and zoom in onto the one that is the March 20 something one, above this one, the one before this one that is shown.
Yeah, you want to go back to this
This
one?
one, yeah. I want to look at the dates. Yeah, could you
You
zoom
see,
in a bit more?
to zoom in a bit
March
more, yeah.
25th.
Oh, it doesn't let me go more because it kind of,
Oh, it's okay.
that's about as much I can do. So the 25th of March,
25th of
26th of
March.
March, you see March 25th.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if I change the date by one day, the orbit of Jupiter is so long, I'm still going to be there. Right. It doesn't matter. So I'm crossing the Easter window of the timing of 3i Atlas to cross Jupiter, but in a different year, because this will happen in 2026, but Easter dates will be on March 25th in 1894, 1951, 2046, and also Easter will be on March 26th, which is one day later in 1989 and 2076. So you can see that only one day apart in time, and it'll still be within the orbit of Jupiter, I'm still in the Easter window. So
3i Atlas not going to leave the orbit of our galaxy, our solar
no, we're not
system.
going to leave the orbit of our solar system for a few years. I mean, we're at Jupiter here. When you come to Saturn, right, we're not even at Uranus and Neptune yet. Here, it will cross July 19th and 22nd. And that date is not only the date of Apollo and the lunar landing, I think in 1969, it is Sirius heliacal rising date on the ancient Egyptian calendar, which was their New Year's Day. And the 22nd of July is also the date for Mary Magdalene's feast day, which is fixed on the solar calendar. It's not on the lunar calendar. So it's crossing the orbit of Saturn in that harmony on the 19th of July in 2026. So the lunar calendar doesn't matter for this date because Sirius heliacal rising in the Giza Plateau in Egypt is a fixed date, which means Sirius rises paired with the sun rising in the east on that date. So now when I come to, I'm at Uranus now, Uranus, the Greeks pronounce it Uranus, May the 24th in the year 2027. So look how long it takes to go from Saturn to Uranus. I mean, it's a huge amount of time because we're in 2027 now. And May 24th, 2027, which is Buddha's birthday in 2026. Notice they're only 1 year off. And again, on a lunar calendar, you would call that phenomenal accuracy. Jesus' Ascension Day was May 26th in 2022. You'll always see the Ascension Day of the Buddha and the Ascension Day of Jesus and Buddha's birthday coincide many, many years on a lunar calendar system. And finally, crossing the orbit of Neptune on the 12th of April, 2028. Easter will be on April 12th in the year 2020, 2026, right? So very close years, again, phenomenally accurate. 2026, it will be Eastern Orthodox Easter Sunday. So you have, again, the two churches follow two different calendars that start their religious dates for Christmas are 3 days from winter solstice and winter perihelion, which is a whole other huge subject. So now we have kind of an overview of the harmonics of the timing of 3i Atlas. And then when you come to today's date, we see exactly where we are and what's happening in the news. Why did Trump sign orders to prevent the media from having access to what the U.S. military is doing? They need permission. And because they need permission, we can't believe that the reason Trump ordered all of his military to assemble yesterday, one day before 3i Atlas arrives at Mars in this perfect alignment on Yom Kippur, which begins tonight, the very next day. That can't be a random coincidence. And today, the U.S. government shutdown may or may not affect the physics community from getting these phenomenal images from the Mars high-rise cameras of 3i Atlas. In fact, if they see something they don't want us to see, we know from Trump's new orders, the media will not be allowed to share it with us. Mm-hmm. And then finally, Loeb this morning went on Fox News, and this is a man whose hypothesis is because of the timing and the pairedness of the orbits. I want to go through those really quickly with you, so because I missed showing you Venus, and I really want to show you how incredible Venus is. So let me share screen again and go back to that. I mean, basically, what Loeb's original hypothesis was, he believed that 3i Atlas was an intelligent probe made of manufactured nickel, which they're using spectral data from the James Webb Telescope. It's not made of what comets are supposed to be made out of. And the timing and the pairedness to the planets being an impossibility. You see here, that's as close as it's going to get to Mars. So let's look at it in an axis. So if you're looking from Earth, if you look at the sun today, and you use your little solar system, I use the Sky Live on my phone, and you look for Mars, it's just right above Mars. Just see that? It's just right above Mars, to the left of the sun. Now, if I go to November 1st, November 3rd, you see I'm paired with Venus. You see that? Why isn't Venus over here? Why isn't Venus on the other side? Why isn't Venus at 2 o'clock? It's at 12 o'clock. You see? This is what I mean by 12 o'clock. Venus and 3i Atlas. I mean, the very next day, you see, it's going out. See, Venus is rotating counterclockwise from the top, which is what all the planets do. So why? In the timing of it coming into the solar system, it seems to know exactly what it's doing. And again, when I go all the way out to Jupiter, next March 16th, Jupiter's even more impossible for it to be paired. This is Loeb's original argument. Now he's going against that on Fox News, saying it's probably just a comet. Was he told he has to say that? Because he's the one who started all this, who said it's an ET spacecraft. Wasn't me, wasn't David Sereda. I'm the one who discovered that Oumuamua, 21 Borisov, and 3i Atlas are 1 to the GoldenRatio squared in their perihelions. I'm the one who discovered that. That got me really interested. I wouldn't even gone this far as I did if I didn't see that. And again, you can't get any astronomers at NASA or anyone to look at my data. They won't look at it. So whatever, that's how they are. Now it's out because recordings like this can be shared and people can see what are the odds of Jupiter with its just under 12-year. Why isn't Jupiter here? Why isn't Jupiter way down here? Why isn't Jupiter here? Why is it paired? Like it was with Venus and it was with Mars and technically Earth, because it is paired with Earth, because it's in Earth's 365.256 day orbit. The odds of it being that close to Earth also are, all the odds are against it. So that's where we're at. I think the deepest part of this is what I started with, is the axial rotational period of 3I Atlas being the age of Methuselah, and the age of Methuselah to his father Enoch are 1 to the golden ratio squared, and our 3 visitors are 1 to the golden ratio squared. And that when I paired my 591 model, the bullseye of 3I Atlas, with the Methuselah model, my leftover numbers between them revealed Fibonacci's sequence. I would say that's the deepest part of the message. If we were in the movie Contact, which is based on Carl Sagan's book, and having been a fan of Carl Sagan since I was a kid, I would say what Carl Sagan says is an ET, a true interaction with an extraterrestrial civilization would beckon us with a mathematical dialogue first. And I think what I presented is proof that that is the dialogue.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, so we could take questions for some time if anybody has any.
Yeah. I actually wanted to start the ball rolling with a couple of questions that I've prepared. Sorry, I'm just putting on my headset so you can hear me clearly. Okay. Well, it's so fascinating that you have gone so thoroughly into deep in your research into pulling out all these dates and the Fibonacci sequence along coinciding with the golden ratio and all that. You had your maths calculated out so well, spot on in detail. And we also
I've done
fascinated.
I've done the same thing with major UFO sighting dates and also apparitions of the Mother Mary. So I've done this same type of math for those type of events too.
Oh, you're just incredibly brilliant with your calculations. Yes, everything is a mathematical code, like the matrix that we are in, isn't it? Like frequencies are being labeled in mathematical codes anyway. If you talk about Raymond Wright's machines and how we get the healings with the numbers punch in. Yeah, oh, okay. In the frequencies, the hertz and all that. Right. In resonance with Schumann's resonance. Okay, so we have Matty, who actually suggested you speaking this time in 141st FESIG Meeting, which is also not a coincidence. It's auspicious. Okay, David, he said, please do not forget to tell about the, what do you call it? The spacecraft, Juno, at the time of Jupiter's orbit. So I
It's
can't
Juno,
remember.
that's correct. It's
Yeah.
Juno spacecraft.
Juno.
Yeah. And again, Juno just happens to be the end of its mission. It only has so much fuel left, and they have to conserve fuel so that when 3I Atlas arrives, it's supposed to. And again, now with what Trump just signed is NASA can't even go directly to the press with its findings. It's going to get scrubbed. So I think the message is already clear. Whether 3I Atlas drops off, because this, let's go to the size of it. According to Loeb, and the latest data, the last data we got, it was 46 kilometers. So between 28 and 29 miles. It's enormous. And then some estimates have put it all the way as small as 5 kilometers, but those aren't really based on real data. The real data we're waiting for will come from the Mars high-rise cameras today, tomorrow, and the next day, if we ever see that data. We might We might. I mean, I'm optimistic that the arrival of an extraterrestrial visitor outside of the Oort cloud not being a known comet would be one of the greatest moments in human history. And I think we are at one of the greatest moments in history today because it's Yom Kippur and it just reached Mars. I mean, how much more perfect can it get than that? Does it
Exactly.
involve the God of the Bible? I don't know. I just look at the data and I look at the coincidences. And somebody asked here in the chat, what's Muhammad's night vision? I'd best Google it. Muhammad's night vision. Okay, so when you go to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, that marks the spot where Muhammad had this vision where he was taken, whether in the body or out of the body, it's debated in Islam, through 7 levels of the heavens. Now, Dante in the Paradiso documents his journey through a total of 9 levels of heaven. And you should see how he describes them. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever read in my life. Dante's Paradiso, by translation in English by John Chiardi, who actually had similar experiences to Dante. So this isn't fantasy, it's not fiction. Dante fasted and had spiritual visions, and he tells us what he saw. Why does Dante's experience show 9 more planets of the angels interface with the 9 spheres of the solar system? And he's counting the sun, by the way, to get his 9. So I think that we're sitting on a message that has already been delivered. Whether
Yes.
3i Atlas drops off smaller craft and UFOs is yet to be seen. It might happen. I don't know.
Yeah, that was this question, David. We're having a little dialogue here, right? Folks, just hang on to your horses, okay? You get your chance to ask David question, but because I'm the chair and I got David here to speak, I have priority in asking my questions. Okay, I wanted to put into perspective here if there is a correlation. I have no idea, but we do have a lot of speakers, as I said, who very spiritually attuned. Like we are going to have Dr. Richard Lawrence, who is the assistant of Dr. George King, who was an ET actually, who came into embodiment and started the Ethereal Society here. And he was talking about well, I mean, he works with the White Brotherhood. The White Brotherhood consisting of the Ascended Masters like Babaji, Maitreya, and so many saints, Lord Buddha, Lord Jesus, and the Ascended Masters, and all these are members of the White Brotherhood. And apparently, Dr. George King in his book was talking about the why Mars, right? So I'm relating to Mars now. That Mars, from Mars came a lot of ascended masters to help humanity awaken by guiding us and helping us with teachings and all that. Most of our ascended masters who came as teachers, like Lord Jesus, Lord Buddha, probably hailed from that part of the universe. And he was describing this satellite, Mars satellite number 3, that is orbiting our planet to beam divine light and energy to help awaken humanity with the auspicious dates of between April the 18th to May the 23rd. And that is when we were told to go to the sacred mountains to pray and meditate, to beam light to the parts of the planet that has disasters. So it will save lives, like the Chernobyl disaster and the Fukushima. They were like curtailed. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of lives lost. So spiritual push dates for our planet that is beamed from Mars Sector 3, a satellite that's orbiting our planet. April the 18th to May the 23rd, David, and July the 5th to August the 5th, September the 3rd to October the 9th, November the 4th to December the 10th. By the way, folks, please come back to FESIG's 143rd meeting in December when Dr. Richard Lawrence will be talking. So I suppose that is a little correlation with Mars on Three-Eye Atlas. I have no idea
Well,
because,
I
yeah.
know a lot more about Mars. It's pretty spectacular. I'll show you a graphic, and I'm
Mhm.
not going to show the math on this, but this is pretty stunning. In relationship, because remember, it's Yom Kippur, which is
Mhm.
the God of the Bible, of Moses. And I did this mathematical formula as above, so below. So starting from the Great Pyramid of Egypt in the left of my red, I come to the real Mount Sinai, which is in Jordan. Why that's the real Mount Sinai? Because the brother of Moses is buried there. His tomb is there.
Mm.
And what's interesting about Jordan is the geography kind of looks like Mars. So what I do is I take my measuring tape on Google Earth and I measure this only works in feet and it works everywhere. And I measure from the pyramid to the real Mount Sinai location, and I take the measurement in feet. I subtract the curvature of the Earth, which is a formula. It's 8 inches per mile, and I keep dividing it by the golden ratio by the golden ratio. I get the exact orbit of Mars. Remember, Mars doesn't fit in the golden ratio algorithm. It's off. But when I measure to the real Mount Sinai and keep dividing it by the golden ratio, I come to 68698, 99.9% accurate. So that tells me the harmony of the order to the distance to the pyramid to that event is Mars.
Wow.
And of course, the geography of Jordan being so much like Mars, it beckons you with a question: why now Three-Eye Atlas is in harmony of Mars on Yom Kippur, which is
Mm.
the Day of Atonement for the Israelites, which is when the high priest would enter the Holy of Holies cube in Solomon's temple, where the Ark of the Covenant was, 1 day per year to atone for the sins of the people. Why do we have a Mars alignment? So there's so much about Mars if you listen to Richard Hoagland and the idea that there were pyramids on Mars and structures on Mars and there was an ancient civilization on Mars. Why does Mars come up in this case on Yom Kippur, which starts tonight when we have this perfect alignment of Three-Eye Atlas? I think there's more to Mars in the story. So
Exactly.
then we
That's what
know.
I thought. That's what I thought as well. So you had been working with Jimmy Blanchard as well, and you have
Yeah,
been able to send messages to the craft, and well, be it a meteorite, you believe there's a craft inside there, cloaked by the
I
meteorite.
think um uh hang on a second. I'm looking for my Mars math here. I just want to find it. Mars uh golden ratio. I just want people to see this for the record if I can somehow find it.
Mhm. But meanwhile, I'll keep talking. And you are able to receive replies in the universal language of mathematics, like you were doing the mathematical codings.
Well, that's exactly
So,
what I'm doing, Crystal. I'm doing these frequencies. I now have the frequencies
yeah.
for not only the visible planets based on their wavelengths, but also the actual frequencies and the harmonic ratios of what can take a human nervous system to any one of these upper nine angelic planets. And once you put those frequencies in your body
Mm.
with one of my coils or wands, your body now attunes to that and can psychically have an experience with it.
Yeah.
All these revelations have occurred to me and have appeared in my mind because I'm doing these frequencies. That's why it's happening. It's not an accident. So, let's see. Mount Sinai. I really
So
want you to see this map.
I know while you're searching, we can multitask here.
Here it is. I got it.
Well, yeah,
I really
um, you got it.
let me just show you this because this is
Mhm.
incredibly profound to the day. So I found it. So it's in my email. I'll just zoom in. So here's the graphic that I showed. right? Remember this? Can you see that on your screen, my graphic?
Yes, we can
And
see
let
a
me show
map.
you. And then so I take the distance on Google Earth to Mount Sinai. Just going to show you, I'm zooming in here. 259.22 miles, which is 1.368672 feet, minus 8 inches per mile. So I get my base number, and I just keep dividing it by the golden ratio. And none of these numbers mean anything in the solar system, except I come to 686,913. The orbit of Mars is 68698. I'm 99.99% the orbit of Mars. So that's the real Mount Sinai. And there's a good book on it. There's a really good book on this. I think Graham Phillips was the author who did it. And he proves to you that the real Mount Sinai is in Jordan. And after you go on Google Earth, there's actually when you search on Google Earth for Mount Sinai, it's gonna show you 3 of them. There's actually 3 of them. And it's possible that all 3 locations are locations where there was an interaction between this extraterrestrial God and human beings on the earth, but they're all harmonics, as above, so below. And I've done this with the birthplace of Jesus, the birthplace of Alexander the Great, the birthplace of the Buddha. And the Buddha, the birthplace, with the same harmony of your calculation, is in harmony with Neptune, and Neptune is the highest vibration in the solar system. There's a whole other presentation I'd have to give at a later time. I could actually show you what this looks like. So
we have time.
again, I'm very curious why the harmony of the order of Mount Sinai is almost perfectly the orbit of Mars, and Mars has eluded Bode's law. Nobody was able to solve the orbit of Mars mathematically. It's in its own little harmony in the system. I was able to solve Mars's harmony. I was able to also solve Neptune's harmony, which is also it's slightly out of the golden ratio, but Neptune is in harmony with another Fibonacci number. So, yeah.
Right. I wanted to bring another thing into this talk of yours. That is, you were showing how these holy, sacred, auspicious dates are really coinciding, if not correlating with the orbit on certain dates, and it's aligning with certain planets and all that. It's spot on. So you're saying that, in other words, you're proving that the Gregorian calendar, which is founded by Pope Gregory in 1582, is really the true calendar.
Well, here's the way it works with the calendars. It's not that difficult. So we have a leap year, and the previous Julian calendar also had a leap year. So every 4 years we absorb the 0.25. But the exact sidereal period of Earth is, again, it changes very slightly every year, but it's 365.256 and a few more decimal points. So when you go to the 0.256 and you multiply that, it's about 158 years. We're off another day. Off another day. That's a long time. And between the Julian calendar's formation and coming to when Pope Gregory actually changed it again, it's not that Julian was wrong. Every 158 years, I calculated, we're off another day, off another day. So over time, the current Gregorian calendar also had to be corrected because of the lapsing, because we can't correct it except for over great cycles of time. We measured against a star position and the true orbit of the Earth around the Earth, and you have to recorrect it. But what's interesting is traditional Christmas, December 25th, is 3 days after winter solstice, which is the 22nd. So the 22nd of December, 23rd, 24th, 25th. Now, Orthodox Christmas, perihelion, which is when Earth is closest to the sun, is January 4th. 5th, 6th, 7th. See, 3 days. January 1st is in the middle. January 1st is the compromise of the two. So we have two harmonics to measure the beginning of a year. Now, I'll show you something. It's really stunning. I just got to pull up this software on my desktop and show you, because I'm going to show you what happens. Here it is, right here. What happened at Fatima? So I'm going to use a time and date calendar. So I'm going to go to October. Oh, sorry. The first day of Fatima is May 13th, 1917. Okay. I'm going to subtract 139 days for my planet 139, which is bingo. No, that's plus. Subtract. December 25th. You see that?
Yeah.
So that's the first day the Mother Mary appeared to the three children. People described something was blocking the sun a little bit. The sun dimmed in these apparitions preceding. So why am I in perfect harmony to an orbital period for one of my hyperdimensional planets starting at 591, which is 139.516? This is incredible. So now I'll go to October 13th, 1917, and I'm going to subtract 139 times 2 is 279. 279 days. That's 2 orbits of planet 139. I'm in Orthodox Christmas. That's the date of the miracle of the sun. That's incredible. That's 139 times 2. So both dates, in the case of Fatima, fit in perfect harmony to 1 orbit and 2 orbits of my 139. So let me go back to that really quickly. I have it in a folder called dates, and I go to my graphic. I mean, I can email this graphic to anybody. There's 2 graphics now, because I have the graphic from the model of 3i Atlas, and I have the graphic from the 591 base solar system. You see, there's 591 divided by the golden ratio once is Earth, divided by the golden ratio twice is Venus, divided by the golden ratio 3 times is 139.516. And this lines up to Buddha's birthday. I showed you 3i Atlas doing this, coming in and winding up to Buddha's birthday in the day of Ascension. So that means whatever obscured the sun, if you really look at the event of the miracle of the sun at Fatima, it looks like an annular eclipse with the colors spinning around the outer sphere, which is what we see in annular eclipses. But there's no solar eclipse that day, and there's no Venus transit, because we checked Venus transits for the miracle of the sun at Fatima, which are very rare. Venus transits are really rare. Mercury transits are far more common, but you don't see a lot of them. I mean, there's periods of time in between what are called transits. So the idea is that a hyperdimensional planet transited the sun, and its shadow went right through the village of Fatima that day. Now, it gets mind-blowing, the Fatima story, because the Fatima story on my blog, which is my, let me share screen here. I'm going to show you something really incredible. This is mind-blowing, because I'm able to check Fatima twice. I'm able to check, we come here. This was discovered by Peter de Missouri in the Great Pyramid Decoded, that 26.3 degrees to the east, the rising position, runs right through Bethlehem, where Jesus was born, and it crosses the Jordan River. 26.3 degrees is the angle of ascent inside of the Great Pyramid that leads to the Queen and King's chambers. Now, what is it about that angle? Well, if you continue the angle, it runs right through the exact baptism site of Jesus. So, and of course, we know there was a Star of Bethlehem, which was an unknown, unresolved phenomenon in rising in the east. Now, guess what happens when I go to the west, 26.3 degrees from the Great Pyramid, which is the setting angle of the same object? I run right through the village of Fatima, Portugal, where the miracle of the sun happened. That's proof right there that an unknown body rose in the east, the Star of Bethlehem, and set in the west. Rose in the east and set in the west. And when it transited the sun, it caused the miracle of the sun at Fatima. Now, astronomers today say all those 70,000 people that saw this were all deluded and had a mass hallucination, because we don't know of a planet that could have aligned between the Earth and the sun and did that. But I just showed you the angles. It's the same angle as Jesus' birth and his baptism in the east, and you follow that up, and then you go to the west, and it runs right to the village of Fatima. Well, last spring we had a massive event called the Iberian power outage that was never resolved, where all the power went out in Spain and Portugal for like 3 days. It's at the same angle, and they never found out what caused it. And now we can hypothetically say there might have been an energy event that interacted with Earth and intersected the famous Iberian power outage and caused it, which is energy. And the timing of that outage, actually the date of the outage is an Easter date. In fact, I've got about 5 different years that date will be Easter, the day of the power outage in the Iberian Peninsula. So I've got a really incredible case here for I'm really proving what Dante saw, but I'm proving it using my wife's number 591, the bullseye of 3i Atlas, and now the orbital axial period of 3i Atlas on its axis gives me the age of Methuselah, and I build the same hyperdimensional solar system, do the golden ratio with that. So I think the message of 3i Atlas, if it does nothing and it passes through uneventful and doesn't drop any probes, everything I presented here today is the message. Where are these UFOs coming from? They're coming from the hyperdimensional solar system. And finally, before I conclude, Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah said, of course, Jesus draws on Isaiah. Isaiah, God creates new heavens and a new earth. That is, Isaiah 65:17 says, I will create new heavens and the new earth, and the former will not be remembered, nor will come to mind. And this is a prophetic date, because the day of the transition, if the creator, you can call it God, you can call it whatever you want, is creating new earths and new planets, which are being created by the angels, when this expires down here, I think this whole place down here was highly populated. Probably, we know Mars was probably had an atmosphere and oceans about 450,000 years ago, and that data comes from NASA. We're almost done down here. And when this transition occurs, guess what happens with planet 591 mathematically? So when 591 years trips around the sun happens on Earth, 365 years happens in position 591. I think that is the new Earth and in the Bible, because it says in 2 Peter 3:13, we have to look for the new heavens and the new earth. They're not just going to fall in our lap. We have to look. We have to look. 3i Atlas is like bullseye saying, here it is. 591 years on Earth is 365. And if you measure the temperature of Mars, too cold, Earth getting too hot, 591 just right. It's the Goldilocks zone. It's the perfect place to put a new planet. I think the planet already exists hyperdimensionally. Could there be a spectacular event where either we change in frequency and we go to this fifth dimensional reality that people are projecting, and suddenly we're in the new heavens and the new earth, and the former will not come to mind? That's Isaiah. I mean, either the God of Isaiah is a liar or a mystic. Either we don't see these new planets until we die and we go into our new spiritual body. I don't know the answer. I would like it to be physical, but I think Three Eye Atlas, the bullseye of its message is the new Earth. And that's the final thing I have to say,
Well,
really.
I've been listening to a number of podcasts of NDEs and ETs coming into mediums and all that, and they were giving messages that November, that is just next month, is going to be the time when the masses will be able to have able to see a display in the skies. The non-believers of UFOs and ETs will be in a state of shock because they'll be showing themselves. And there's another one. They keep saying the same things, you know. And then year 2026 will be the time of sort of like reckoning when, or 2027, they actually will be here in physicality.
Well, the
I don't
timing
know.
is perfect. I mean, I
Mhm.
think we're there.
Yeah.
Somebody said here, does Hoagland's toroidal physics link to? Yes, Hoagland and I talk
Mhm.
all the time. I've
Mhm.
been on the show a lot. His discovery was the 19.5. So if anybody follows Hoagland, and 19.5 is 591 in reverse. He's the one who figured that out. 19.5 in reverse is 591. And
Yeah,
that's hyperdimensional mathematics in the mirror, right? So
yeah,
so yes, he's completely aligned to this.
yeah. Watch out for Richard Hoagland's podcast then. Carrie Cassidy was saying that Richard Hoagland and NASA seems to know what's going on, but they're not telling us.
Yeah, I don't expect we're going to get an answer from them.
Mhm.
But I think what I presented here is clearly the first part of the message of Three Eye
Mhm.
Atlas.
Thank you.
But I
So
actually have to
I
get
need
going
to,
because my daughter's
I
in
know, I need to pass the microphone over to Fres now to do the Q&A because Kira Starr of 21st Century Superhuman is leaving soon. Carrie, if you're still there, you want to do the first question through Fres and then followed by Matty and the rest. I've got impertinent questions on chat. Go on, Nat.
Alrighty. Let's see. We've got UFO. I
Hi,
think this is the first. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, your role is David.
this
I
is
mean,
Carrie.
David Griffin. Yeah. Carrie, go on now.
Um,
Hi,
hi.
Carrie.
Hey, David, fabulous. Oh my God. I can't even tell you how fabulous, fabulous, fabulous your whole
Oh, I love
overview.
you,
Because
sister.
oh I think my phone might be shutting down. So you can ask him my question. I'll have to listen. Oh, there goes my phone.
Press, what's Carrie's question?
Okay, I was jumping back and forth in admin stuff here, and I'll go to chat and go to Carrie's. Let's see if I can find it really quick. I will search for that. I'll ask one question, and so we don't have open air. The speed of Three Eye Atlas is many times greater than what folks would normally attribute to interstellar slingshot type accelerations past planets or star systems. Uh, would you like to expand on that? How it could get to that kind of a speed to perfectly match all those points that you illustrated a moment ago? And I'm going to look for.
Well, that would be a really long calculation in the solar system because if you change that velocity not very much, by very little, probably 3 to 5%, it's not going to line up on my religious dates. So
Absolutely.
right there mathematically it is an argument for the absolute intelligence of whatever sent it. If it is a comet, it doesn't matter. It would show in divine intelligence sent it and actually, produced its velocity so that this message could be revealed. And again, its bullseye being 591 to the golden ratio reveals the hyperdimensional solar system, as does the axial orbital to the golden ratio reveals the hyperdimensional solar system, which show absolute intelligence. And that means Oumuamua, 21 Borisov, and 3i Atlas, the three visitors, are in concert with each other in this harmonics. And Loeb argued, and I read his whole book, I have it over here somewhere, just on Oumuamua alone, as a singular visitor, he proved that it's probably extraterrestrial. But when you have three, you have ratio. When you have two, you still don't have a ratio yet. You need to measure a third point to develop a ratio, right? You need 3
Excellent.
points. You need a starting point, second, and third. If I only had 2 points, well, I guess I could. I guess I could with just 2 points. Yeah. So that calculation on its velocity, you'd have to do another calculation. If I change its velocity, I would need a whole solar system model, and then I would check all my dates again and see what happens.
Okay.
Is Carrie Kirasta?
I've got Carrie's question. Is that who I'm supposed to be looking for, Crystal?
Yeah, because she said she wants to ask a question now because she has to leave.
Okay. I found her question on here. So go ahead, Carrie, ask your question.
I think she's left.
You have to unmute.
Carrie Kirasta, are you still there? She's left. She can wait.
Okay,
But
I'll ask the
anyway,
question. Okay. Basically, her question on this one was, I'd like to hear from David on an overview on what is being transmitted to us in this multidimensional domain. How does it give us a greater perception of our existence that has been so limited in the past?
Well, see, that's when you get into the energetics of what it's doing. I mean, the velocity, the materials, the vibrations, how it'll affect human consciousness, it definitely will. It again, if it passes through physically uneventful, meaning we don't see gods and goddesses landing on the earth in their spaceships, like the ancient Anunnaki stories of Zechariah Sitchin, its energy will, because our brains and our hearts are electromagnetic, and they're attuned to huge wavelength frequencies. The human brain is tuned to enormous wavelength frequencies, and that was proven by a very legendary physicist. I'm trying to remember his name because he's left us now. Means that we will be affected. There's a subtler transmission that's happening right now. And being at Mars, again, Mars is, typically the planet of war, but in Dante's model, Mars, what he sees there are warriors of righteousness and justice. It's not like corrupt war. So, of course, we've been in this, situation in Ukraine and also with Israel and the Palestine is all happening at this moment. And they're trying to form a peace deal with the Palestine, etc. Ukraine, Russia, the threat of military, and here we are, the planet of war, typically known as the planet of war, on Yom Kippur, on the day that Trump assembles the military. I think that's pretty incredible. And that's all coinciding. So there's going to be a transfer. We're all going to feel it, whether consciously or unconsciously. It's going to affect us. I don't predict the world will be the same after 3i Atlas has done what it's done. In fact, what it's done here, the mathematics, I think it should do a certain job in the message it's already sent us.
Yeah. Oh, Carrie Kirasta is back for us. Are you listening to the answer to your question, sister?
Oh no! Yes, just a little bit of it. My phone went dead, so
sorry.
I thought I plugged in, but the plug wasn't working right. So
it's okay. It's recorded. I will give you the link.
I'll look forward to listening to it. And I sent this to a bunch of friends, and they're excited to listen to the replay because they couldn't get on. But I just want to ask David, what in your mind and heart and soul do you get as this? Because it seems like it's obviously been repeated throughout history. So there's these cyclical transmissions that are happening over and over and over to give us a wake up call, to let us know where we are. I don't know. What do you read from it?
Well, I mean, I'm a meditator, longtime meditator. I meditate every single day, and I work with frequencies almost every day. And I believe, in my experience, like if we go back to the time of the birth of the first stringed instruments in ancient Mesopotamia and Sumerian, coming into Egypt and coming to the Greeks, once we had a musical scale system of harmonies, civilization suddenly changed, very suddenly. And that sudden change in human consciousness, I would attribute to the music scale more than anything. And in fact, it's never been explained, the sudden leap in human evolution. And I think Zechariah Sitchin attributes that to the arrival of these gods and goddesses physically teaching us. But the music system and frequency and harmonics, I think, causes and it's been proven in DNA studies that frequencies alter DNA. And so I think the human race is at the point where we either need a subtle, clandestine, hidden transmission of frequencies to awaken us, to get us out of the mess we're in, because we create the world outside from what we're experiencing on the inside.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't do it, and we don't get a physical intervention, I really fear for where this place is going right now. What I grew up with in the 60s, in the 70s, and then now, like you've got over 300,000 microwave towers in the United States alone. We can change I mean, I have frequencies that are sitting in front of me right now that I calculated from the sacred cubit antenna height staff, and all of its octaves corresponds to all the planets that are known and the angelic planets, all from that one staff. I've just done this in the last couple of weeks. How did I do that with the arrival of Three Eye Atlas? If we were to run the internet on these harmonies at very high frequencies, instead of chaotic numbers, the whole planet could shift.
Mm.
And so I don't know whether Three Eye Atlas will transmit itself or what it's already transmitted. In my brain, if you could see the numbers sitting in front of me, it's like the Matrix. I just see all these numbers. They're all frequencies. We can run the internet on harmonies. A harmony requires two or more transmitters whose carrier wave frequencies for all the data are in a harmonic that reflects the harmony of the order, which is the orbits of the planets.
Yeah, I must
And
say, this speaks for as a testimony for all the products that you developed with your late
right.
wife. Yeah, I urge you folks, whoever is listening and watching this video, to go to davidsereda.co website, C-O, not C-O-M, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and you will be able to find all of David's creations, beautiful creations, and buy these products. Please support David because he has had uh, much of his work stolen, and there had been bad people coming in to attack and
Yeah,
get
I've had
the stuffs
a
from
lot.
him. And it's not nice. Yeah, it's not nice. So we need support for our brother David Sereda here. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
folks. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you drop a pebble in a pond and the wave goes out, you've effectively changed reality. My systems, especially my new Super 49 pointed coils, when you transmit harmonics, if we could get enough of these out there, we'd be changing the field. Absolutely, from all the chaotic bands of the internet. Now, if I could get to the core, it's kind of like that movie with George Clooney, Tomorrowland, when they find this transmitter in the end and they have to shut the transmitter down, and then you come back to the real world. Um, if we can change the frequency, we can change the consciousness. If the frequency itself causes a reaction, just like music. When you hear music, you either like it or you don't like it, right? It either makes you dance or it makes you feel an emotion. There's something about violin strings that can bring me to tears if they're harmonic.
Yeah.
But I think
I don't mean to interject because I think time's running out and you said you have to run as well, but there are a lot of questions that are queued up on chat and we got very important people in the audience. Well, there's Mehdi who's recommended you to speak today, and he's got questions up his sleeves as well. And there is David Griffin, the head of exopolitics in the UK, who will be speaking after you. He's got loads of questions on chat. So who first, Fres? Over to you,
Uh,
Can we
Fres.
take one more question and then I have to get back to my daughter
Only
and
one more?
well, yeah,
Ask.
I've got it. I have a daughter, so I have to. I've left her. Well,
Sure.
she's 10 years old. I've left her alone in the house. So
Oh, okay, Fres. You choose
uh,
the most
yeah,
important.
UFO has been asking some questions in there, which is your friend from England.
Hi, yeah. I hope you can hear me. Shout yes
yeah,
if you obviously you can't hear me, but
Yes,
thank you. Yeah,
yes.
David. Yeah, I just said I bought a mouse mask from you many years ago. If you see my comment on there, but I'm going to be quick because you've got to go. So I did lots of exopolitics work from 2003, which is all about, of course, sort of tin craft and disclosure. But then I had my own contact experience over here to do with, and they're all light craft or what I call plasma intelligence craft and weird communication from them, but in a different way than you saw in the contactee movement. What do you think about this whole idea of a shift from, say, the 2012 era, from these tin pot craft of the post-war era to this more plasma lightship sort of interaction?
well, I'm reading Robert Temple's new book on plasma and the new science of heaven,
Yep.
and that book will really awaken you to the understanding of plasma. And in fact, I did experiments here with my plant music interface, and I've been running wires down to my huge cedar trees, which come into my office. And I've been sending out messages to 3i Atlas through my trees as an antenna system because trees are plasma. And I had this little boy in my house one day, and I had my plant music on, and he made me plug in my Tesla plasma ball. And I said, "Oh, this isn't going to do anything." So I turned this thing on in sound mode, so it will produce little lightning plasma sparks
Yep.
when it hears a sound, and it was able to cause the music in the plant system to change. I
Wow.
couldn't do that with electromagnetism. It was only plasma, and it told me that plasma and these plasma, a lot of these UFOs, you're right, they're plasma, like the crop circle balls are plasma.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And what Temple illustrates so beautifully in his new book, Plasma and the New Science of Heaven, which is on Amazon, you got to read this book,
Mhm.
is plasma is conscious, it is intelligent, and that there are assembled plasma clouds, the Kordylewski's clouds, which are within the same orbit as the moon, but they're not next to the moon, but they're the same radius to Earth. He
Wow.
believes they're highly intelligent.
Right.
And
Can I ask? Can I also ask then how, given this whole exopolitics UFO disclosure thing was all about contact and governments and whatever you think about that, how do you think this shift from these tin pot craft that we used to be able to throw a brick at apparently, right, and now plasma, how has that evolved with human contact with higher intelligence consciousness and the contact of human beings with an incoming higher intelligence?
well, I had my own experience actually. It was in the same 1994. It was January 7th when this happened. And I couldn't sleep that night. And about 2 in the morning, I was on the 22nd floor in Century City, Los Angeles. This plasma beam came into my room, pierced my chest.
So did you say being or beam?
Beam,
Being.
beam.
Oh, beam. Okay.
And it was, you could see it. And all of a sudden, I was in a field of about 30 feet wide of plasma, and it kept taking me up one octave at a time. You could
Wow.
hear the
Wow.
frequencies. And I swear to God, I couldn't feel my body. I couldn't feel the hairs on my hand. It was taking me into a non-physical state. And I got scared actually. And sure enough, that was an activation because only a week later, the Northridge quake struck, and I was in the middle of that quake.
Mhm.
And then later, in October 19th of the same year, I met Christ shining like the sun for the first time in my life. I was a
I
Buddhist
remember that.
meditator.
Yeah.
Christ appeared to me. Actually, I have another website, Crystal. It's davidseredawrites.com, which is where I have my books.
Right. How
But
do you
yeah, no, we
spell
could
it?
talk about plasma, and it's so deep. I mean, what Robert Temple is opening up in his new book, he really shows you really good case studies. So I think your question is excellent. But with that, I do have to go. And thank you so,
Thank you for
thank
that.
you
Yeah.
so
Thank
much,
you,
Crystal, and
David.
to everyone here.
Namaste. Thank you so much for coming in short notice to come
Okay,
back to
have a
us.
great rest of your
And
day, everybody.
anytime you have something new up your sleeve, let me know, and we'll see
Oh,
if
okay.
we
Yeah,
squeeze you
okay.
in.
Well, I do
Yeah,
already, but
continue.
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, take
Right.
care.
Thank you so much. Namaste. So there being no other business now, this first session, very long session of Physics 141st meeting is now adjourned to the second session, where David Griffin will be filling in where Patrick Riley has left because he couldn't make it last minute, like 1.5 hours before the meeting starts. He's got to run. So thank you, David Griffin, for your most awesome questions. And we are all ready to listen to you very soon because we're doing a trailer promo of your talk that's coming soon. Okay. Thank you, folks, for staying on. Thank you, Pardon, for honoring our space here today and choosing to be with us. Right, folks, that's it. I can stop recording now. Pontus, you can stop now.